Chiefs have selected George Karlaftis. Big George! There we go!
I am so beyond excited that Josh Simmons getting a crack at left tackle.
It's really hard to win the AFC Championship.
Is it?
Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank member FDIC, our amazing partners in Possible here at KC Sports Network. It is Kent Swanson and Matt Hamilton. I can hear you.
We're having a false start here, Kent. I'm going to have to jump back out and jump back in. I can't hear you for some reason. So I will be right back. I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody.
It's all good. It's all good, buddy. No worries whatsoever. It is just me and Hammy today. I got super jealous of what Craig and Maddie got to do the other day. So I decided to commandeer Hamilton and just get him all to myself today. Maddie is traveling. He is traveling back from the East-West Shrine Bowl. He left today. So we kind of had, there's a lot of disruption in like the schedule and all that. So we kind of had some issues there trying to get everything going there. I actually left on Saturday from the Shrine Bowl. We still got a lot of time to interview prospects and all that good stuff. Hamilton, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Sorry about that.
You sound lovely too.
These StreamYard gremlins have been getting me lately, but we're good.
I think we're all good now though. But yeah, I was just saying I got back from the East-West Shrine Bowl on Saturday. Before I talk about that, I do have a question for you. Have you ever had a bird in your house?
I have not.
So I did a little podcast segment with his Dirkness and Ryan Scott Hall earlier today on the Amateur Hour show, and I came out and my wife and my two kids were looking for a bird that is still around in our house somewhere, and we have absolutely no idea where it's at.
So we may get a guest appearance in this episode.
There's a non-zero chance that we're getting a guest appearance somewhere. I need your cat, to come help us solve our problem here.
That's probably why it hasn't happened. Although he has his head buried right now, so I don't think he's going to be much help.
They're still looking for that thing. But yeah, Maddie flew back today. Our whole schedule got kind of disrupted this weekend. So, my flight got canceled. We were at practice on Saturday. My flight got canceled. My Monday flight got canceled.
Man.
And so I was like trying to figure some stuff out. And I kind of made the choice. I probably just need to try to get home that day. So like found one of the few flights that was still going in and out and headed home from Dallas a little bit earlier this weekend. But we have and I think, and the thing that sucks is we watched tape for 2 straight nights. Like we were just watching tape. We were catching BJ up. We speed ran through, like we kind of gave him an idea of like everyone in the top 10. So, like, just stacked them, like, one on top of the other one night and just let him just see the full gamut of, like, all the top 10-ish type players to help him formulate his own opinion. And we were just watching all kinds of tape. So I'm really bummed because we were having a lot of fun just getting to hang out and watch tape all weekend. But it was a good time. And we got a ton of interviews that you will be hearing, I think, even starting, like, this week at KC Sports Network. You're going to be hearing a lot of the interviews that we did over the last weekend, and there's some good ones there too. It's gonna be fun. And I'm really looking forward to it.
And you guys do a lot of cool stuff throughout the year. I think this is one of the best things you guys do for sure. All that coverage, the interviews, everything. It's such a great way to get ready for this draft, which is going to be a pretty crucial one for the Chiefs.
Huge, absolutely huge. And it is it's definitely something near and dear to our hearts and something we love doing. We love the draft. We absolutely love the draft process. Hammy, I was so jealous of that Craig, Maddie, Hamilton episode. You guys look like you had a great time. I was so happy that all 3 of you guys got to do a show together. Because that was the first time I think that had ever happened.
Yeah. It was fun to get to do a show with Craig. That was that was the first chance I got. So we definitely missed you as always. But
I don't think you missed me that much.
Some of us more than others. So I'll just put it that way. I did. I can speak for myself here. But Maddie, not so sure. But no, it was great to get to do a show. To get to do a show with Craig. But happy to be here tonight. Running this thing with you.
You put together one of the best rants I think we've had on this show in a long time. That was so good. You absolutely cooked.
I appreciate it, man. It's one of those things. It was kind of 6 years in the making because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that over the years you bite your tongue with because again, like we cover the whole league, going back to NFL Network, Good Morning Football, and I really, really, take a lot of pride in being objective and trying not to let my own feelings get in the way of what I'm seeing, what I'm doing. It's very important to me and something I take really seriously. And it was just something, objectively, I was just tired of it. It's just been the excuses with the Bills have just been mounting and even just not that we need to get into this, but even just watching football this weekend and you can't do anything, go anywhere without them making it about themselves. And it was just like, maybe just sit this one out. Maybe just your team lost. Like you can fade into the background a little bit here. No, instead just make everything about the Bills all weekend. It's fine.
Still defending the catch right now.
Yeah.
Still out there somehow trying to defend the most blatantly obvious call that didn't require the game to be paused because it was clear and obvious. I mean, it's really not that difficult. Sean McDermott can come chill for a year in KC if he wants. If he wants to come through and just hang out a little bit, just maybe put some Chiefs gear on like Gruden did last year, just walk training camp a little bit, by all means, just come through, hang out a little bit, because boy, howdy, you look all the more better every passing day.
Yeah.
That this thing, that thing looks like a train wreck right now.
Yeah. And beyond the management part of it, honestly, what he did with that defense this year shouldn't be overlooked either because they were lacking for talent in a bunch of areas on that defense. And he pulled that thing together and they really outperformed in a lot of ways defensively. And, not that we need to go fully back into that game. Yeah, there were some
sneaking
issues they had at the end a little bit there, but everything else on that team put them in a position to win if they don't turn the ball over 5 times. So, yeah.
Well, the team that rightfully beat them, their season ended this weekend with the Denver Broncos falling to the New England Patriots in a very ugly football game, 10-7. It just, overall thoughts on that game, Hamilton, watching Broncos and Patriots. I know the elements kind of got into the way a little bit there, but any takeaways that you had after watching that football game?
Yeah, it was tough because it's one of those things that I am very anti putting up all these domes and taking the elements out of the game. But if there's ever an argument for it, it was that game because it was disgusting. And that wasn't really the last quarter and a half were not really football. No. That's not an enjoyable watch. But again, those games are so few and far between. We don't need domes. We don't need widespread domes. This is just a rare case. But yeah, it was tough. And I think Peyton's getting killed for not kicking the field goal in the second quarter, early in the second quarter there. I do think that's kind of not, I did not like the play call. I think if they just ran power to the right side, it would have gashed. It might have cribbed. I don't know why they didn't check that. And maybe that's something, having a backup quarterback in there, whatever, I know Sean Payne said when he looks back on it, he wish he stuck with his run play. We don't know what the run play was. Maybe it was that, but this idea that they couldn't run the ball there, I've heard a few takes they couldn't have run the ball there because the Patriots run these two. BS. It's a yard. And again, if you look at how the Patriots align there, it was if they just ran power, would have hit in the C gap and gash. So if you want to have issue with the play call, I get it. I didn't like the play call either, but what head coach is not going for 4th and 1 in that situation? Like that is a go for it 99% of the time situation, again, especially at that juncture of the game. And if you look at it, like if they had kicked the field goal, you're going to overtime. Do you have any confidence the way they played once the snow started that they were going to win that game in overtime?
I don't know. I think the snow even helped the game get close because like I think the offense was puttering out at that point. Like I think that was really the truth of it. Like and Sean Payton really wanted to show he was the smartest guy in the room because like that's what he always wants to do. And I think trying to do that little PA rollout to Jarrett Stidham was him trying to continue to, add to his aura by like proving how good Jarrett Stidham was, which wasn't true. Jarrett Stidham fizzled out very quickly once some of the early script kind of faded away. You kind of saw Jarrett Stidham kind of turn into a pumpkin. He was terrible against pressure. He had no answer against pressure, no awareness against pressure. And, he hit that big play for the post that kind of set them up for, their only touchdown of the game. But outside of that, they weren't doing much in this game. So, like, I actually think the snow might have equalized and made the game even a little bit more interesting than it needed to be. But I think, like, by the way, real quick sidebar. I saw this from Real Bird Lawyer earlier today or yesterday on Twitter. And he made a good point. I understand the allure of the outside element stadiums, but he made a good point. The Super Bowl will never be played in those elements.
No,
it's always going to be a dome, and it's always going to be like a sunny climate. So like I get it, but like the Super Bowl will never be decided in the elements. So why should the championship games be decided in the elements? So like it's just like it's. I get that. I get that point. It is fun. It's fun to watch when your team's not playing in it, though. I enjoyed it. Especially not really caring which one of those teams wins because I think either scenario is hilarious. It was enjoyable to watch personally for a little bit. So it was just a cool
for a little. Yeah. I mean, like normal snow games. Yeah, that one was something else. But yeah, no, I think there is something to that. Like he wanted to show, hey, I can put the ball in Stidham's hands and he's going to get it done. Like I have no issues. If you want to be upset with the play call, I was upset with the play. I thought they should have run the ball. But the being upset with the decision to go for it, I think is what irks me. Like it's 11 minutes left in the second quarter. Nobody knew that storm was going to roll in the way it did and just make it completely impossible to do anything offensively. As you said, they were sputtering out a little bit too, which I think makes it even more important that like, hey, we're down here. Let's try to get 6 because if they back to my earlier, if they kick the field goal there, it's 10. This game, assuming it was going to play out similarly the rest of the way, which I think it would have, that game's going to overtime. I don't think they would have had any chance of winning that game in overtime with the way things went once the weather started. To your point, I think, it helped the Broncos, but like still, they couldn't do anything offensively at all once that weather started. And if they get a 14 there, though, if they convert a 4th and 1, which you should convert, 90% of the time, if they convert, they're probably going up 14-0, and in that case, they probably win the game. So, I don't know. I thought too much was made of the decision to go for it. Again, the play call is a different story. I hated the play call, but there's too much like kick the field goal. It's getting back to that crowd of just like kick the field goal. Analytics are dumb, But no, most of the time in that situation it works out if you don't run a completely, as you said, like egomaniacal play there.
I think that was, he told Tracy Wolfson before the game that they were going to win, and then they didn't. And I think that's as good as it gets for the Bo Nix-led Denver Broncos, because I think there's a few people are going to have a few things to say just in their own division, not just the rest of the AFC. I think I walked away from that game. Look, there are sins to pay for going to 3 straight Super Bowls and winning 2 of them and continuing to keep one window open while, trying to balance this, right? There's just some sins that you're going to pay. We know the issues with this team, and we're going to talk about some of them in a little bit. It still makes it really frustrating to watch those 2 teams representing the AFC West or AFC at the end. knowing that the Chiefs have had much better football teams in the last 5 years than either versions of those teams. It's kind of disappointing to sit there and watch. This particular year just feels like I think the Chiefs would have represented the AFC West in a different year. Even last year's team I think represents the AFC West or AFC. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
listen, last year the field was tougher, and that team, last year's team, for all its flaws, 15 games and represent the AFC. So, yeah, I also think the Patriots, I think they're a better football team than what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. I do think the elements, not making excuses for them, I think the elements have played a significant factor in how sloppy they've looked, obviously offensively, especially. I don't really buy the whole, the schedule stuff to me is overblown. Like, you play who they play. They've been largely impressive for most of this year. But yeah, when you're playing top three defenses in those type of elements, it's not gonna look pretty. It's not gonna be easy. And I'm sure we'll get into this as we go. Like, obviously, I think the Seahawks are such a complete team and are gonna be such a tough asset. But I don't think the Patriots are just some awful team that's not good. I think they're a good football team. And to your point, would the Chiefs last year have beaten them? Probably, but that doesn't mean they're not a good football team. And I don't know. I feel like too many people have tried to take away credit from them and what they've done this year. For again, I know it hasn't looked pretty in these playoffs so far, but those conditions were a freaking nightmare the last 2 weeks.
Hamilton, have you ever been a watcher of games like shows like Survivor? Have you ever watched any of those kind of games, those kind of reality game shows at all? Do you have any that you've watched?
I used to be big into Survivor, when it first came out, those first couple seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's a reason I'm bringing that up. There are some times I got into Survivor during COVID. I've watched several seasons since then. Love the show. And there's been some seasons where the fans get really irritated by the winner.
Yeah.
But then you ask the people that were actually on the show. They were actually there. They say every single time, whoever won Survivor actually deserved it. To a person, they will always say the right winner won. And we may not, outside looking in, we may not agree with it, but the people that actually lived it, they think people got it right. I think that the Patriots deserve to win the AFC.
Yeah.
It's still disappointing to know that was a flawed team, and the Chiefs have had better versions of that team. But I think the solace you can take is that I think it would have been another Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl if they did have to go to represent the AFC, because the Seattle Seahawks have the kind of defense that I think could absolutely torment anyone in any version of the Kansas City Chiefs offense the last few years, and that definitely is the case. That Rams-Seahawks game for everything, it was everything that Broncos-Patriots wasn't. Hamilton.
Yeah, that was as good a game as you could possibly get. And yeah, they torment everyone. That defense torments everyone except for Matthew Stafford. For some reason, he's the one quarterback that's been able to figure them out this year. These last 2 games, he's been phenomenal, as good as you can be, and they lost both of them, which also just speaks to how deep this Seahawks team is and how they can beat you in so many different ways. And I think they have the most dangerous special teams we've seen in a long time too, which wasn't as much because they refused. They just said, hey, Seahawks, we're going to give you the ball at the 35-yard line every time because we don't want Rashid Shaheed touching the ball. Obviously, we saw the Rams' bad special teams show up more than the Seahawks' good special teams with that muff punt that really swung the game. But they're just, the Seahawks are just so complete. And you look at it, we did some deep dives on the show last week with Kay, and their numbers stack up as far as point differential, scoring offense, scoring defense. They stack up to some of the great Super Bowl winners that we've ever seen. And it's especially impressive when you look at this year has really been defined by parity, but has been defined by all these teams being so close and so many games coming down to one or two moments, and for the Seahawks to have like a dominant year in a season where, yeah, all these teams are so close together, that's kind of been the defining characteristic. It makes it even more impressive. So, um, yeah, it was just an electric game to watch, and seeing Sam Darnold come to life in a big game when he was under pressure. That was a big moment for him, given the narrative and given everything that's gone on with him in the past. So hard not to be happy for him, seeing him get that moment and really, really take it and thrive with it.
That was going to be my takeaway. Sam Darnold's
Sorry.
good. No. This perfect transition.
Oh.
Sam Darnold's he deserves so much credit, and I'm really happy for Sam Darnold. I was a Sam Darnold truther when he came out as a 20-year-old and a young prospect, and things have it took him a while to finally find his ground, but some of his time in San Francisco and then last year in Minnesota, things didn't end well, particularly for him there. But man, he took it to another level, and kind of I don't think the same issues manifest themselves like the Clint Kubiak. I think has really even elevated him even more than Kevin O'Connell did. I think credit to Sam Darnold and how he's handled pressure, and credit the Seahawks for putting him in situations where he's not having to navigate quite as much pressure. And I think there's a lot of layers to the success of that Seattle team, and it's just they can win. You're right, they can win in a variety of different ways. They've got a really good running back, they got a good running game, and they've got one of the best receivers in football, Jackson Smith and Jigba. So balanced. You can't take everything away from them, and they'll find something that works, and they'll hit it, and they'll keep going, and they'll keep rolling with it. And Sam Darnold is a 28-year-old quarterback. That's it. He's a young kid.
Yeah.
A lot of football ahead of him. And he has a chance to be the first quarterback in that vaunted class to get a ring, which would be objectively hilarious.
Seriously. And I think you think about it too. Because I know we got to get to some Chiefs stuff, but just a couple more points on this. I think, like you said, like they could beat you in so many different ways. The fact that, and I know the Niners riddled with injuries and everything else, but the fact that they won that game by 35 points without Sam really having to do all that much in the divisional round. And I was looking at it, that was only the second game this year that's been decided by 35 plus points. And they did it with the quarterback throwing for like 120 yards, like because of the special teams, the defense, they had so many short fields. Obviously, the kickoff return touchdown to start the game. And again, that's not a knock on Sam, it's just how good they are. Like they've had games this year where he really hasn't had to do a whole lot just because they're so overwhelming in every other area. But as for Sam, I really do wonder if, and I'm hoping we get the chance to talk to him at some point over the next few months. But I go back to the Thursday nighter against the Rams, and remember, like the same stuff was showing up in that game. He was turning the ball over. He melted down and took a bunch of sacks. And I think, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to give credit. Like Kubiak's done a great job with him, yes, but I think there's something to this team. And in that game, you kind of saw it come to life, and it seemed to settle him down. Like just knowing that they can do that for him, knowing that they have his back, that they can dig him out of some of these holes, that it isn't all on him. Because the Shaheed punt return touchdown, they got turnovers to get him back in the game. Like it seemed to build his confidence, knowing, hey, you know what? It isn't just all on me. I can make mistakes, and they're going to have my back. And it's the mistakes aren't going to define whether or not we win or lose, which has not been the case in the past. And I feel like it just seemed like that kind of took a weight off him, because when they came back and won that game, he's been different in those moments since that game. And I really wonder if psychologically, like that did something for him to have to start going down that path again and have his teammates kind of lift him up. I think that matters, because he's never had that before, even in Minnesota.
One other quick credit to the Seahawks, that pick for Rashid, I think it was a third round pick for Rashid Shaheed, paying off in spades right now for them making that push. So big credit to them. We're going to take a break. We got plenty of Chiefs stuff to talk about right after this.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
What is happening, good people? It is Benny Heiss, KCSN betting analyst. And guess what? We got the Super Bowl coming around just in the nick of time. Cannot wait. And listen, it's the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 60 deserves a sportsbook that is built for the moment, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. Listen, we've seen some wild Super Bowls, right? And we've also seen that anything can happen during the Super Bowl. And the good news is that DraftKings will have your back with early exit. If a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. It's that easy. Taking a look at the early line here, right now we're seeing the Seahawks at -4.5 at -115 odds over at DraftKings Sportsbook, which means the Patriots +4.5 as underdogs at +190 on the money line with a total of 46.5. Whether you're looking at the actual game itself, the different possibilities for Super Bowl MVP, or you're just looking to get in on some of these wild and wacky props that are available only during the Super Bowl, you can get those over at DraftKings. And remember, if you're new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the code KCSN. That's code KCSN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, remember to call 1-800-GAMBLER. You must be 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
I had Matty Hamilton doing some research on some prospects here that we're going to talk about in a mock draft roundup with a couple recent mock drafts. He's also got some burning questions for me. But before we get into that, we thought we'd just maybe each take one opportunity here, a big item on the Chiefs' offseason wish list. Each take one and just kind of see what we think the biggest thing that the Chiefs need to address on their team for 2026. So, Hamilton, give me the biggest item on your offseason wish list for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now when I look at it, and there's a lot of things we can talk about and we have talked about over the last few weeks, and we will continue to talk about this offseason, I'm sure. But the biggest thing to me, the more I look at it, just fixing the interior D line and really not only, get a top line player in there, but depth. I think that, just going back and doing kind of the autopsy of this season, that was such a huge issue to me. And it really does outweigh kind of everything else right now. I think you have to be able to win in the trenches. And I think they've done a lot of good work fixing that offensive line, getting that offensive line to, where it needs to be. I think they gotta do a major overhaul on the defensive line now, and it starts with that interior. I know we will talk about the edges a little bit here later because I think that's something that needs a big upgrade as well. But yeah, I do have faith in what they're putting around Mahomes. I do want to see some more pieces in there. Obviously, the Rashee Rice situation, again, is going to be, it seems like there are question marks going into this offseason. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. But I just keep coming back to that D line. And, it was just the trickle down effect of that D line just not being good enough, to me, was the issue that showed up most consistently throughout the year.
I think that there are two, big ones, and I think on the defensive side, I think you're right. I think defensive line is the biggest issue. I think for me, I think you could say anything on the defensive line would be just a huge help because, I think some additional pressure up the arc and off the edge could make as big of a difference along the interior of the defense, as could the interior of the defensive line. You're hoping Norman Lott comes back and provides some consistency. You've got to have Chris Jones playing at a high quality level while he's getting paid the amount of money he is. I'll hear anything on the defensive line, honestly. You could tell me edge, you could tell me interior. Just finding a way to make that group better, period, I think is one of the big high priorities. I would be curious, what made you say what swung interior versus edge for you? What was the thing that really did it for you? Or what were the moments that kind of stuck out to you, for going interior versus edge?
Yeah, and it's tough because I do think like you said, I think both are needs. I guess part of it, candidly, I wanted to talk about it a little bit here because we're going to get into the edge a little bit later too. So I wanted to do that here, but because I think they're both pretty equal for me. But I do think they're the inability to push the pocket was such a huge issue. And again, it's great when you can create pressure off the edge and get to the quarterback off the edge. But what we've seen and where the Chiefs have thrived when Chris Jones has been playing at his peak is that ability to collapse the pocket, to disrupt throwing lanes for these quarterbacks. And just, you look at last year, there were just so many clean pockets, forget winning off the edge, but to give the opposing quarterbacks just that many clean pockets, it puts the secondary in a bind. And I think you clean that up, the secondary is going to look a whole lot better too. I'm not as concerned about the secondary as others. If they can, work this out with Trent McDuffie and get him back, contingent on that, obviously. But I really think that is the root of the issues defensively. It really does start up front, and everything else is going to look a hell of a lot better if you fix that.
Yeah, and I'm curious, how the Chiefs approach that, because it is tough because Chris Jones is going to get significantly more expensive this offseason.
Yeah.
And he's continuing to age farther away from the wrong side of 30. And, you're getting Omar Norman Lott back, and I think you're hoping for ascension from him and growth and development from him. It's just wild to think about. Yeah, you're right. They still need investment in that side. Though they put a second-round pick into it last year, even though they are paying Chris Jones top of market money at the defensive tackle position, it still is something that they probably need to address. It's still something that they've got to figure out along the defensive line. It's frustrating. And go.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, and I do wonder if you improve the depth there so Chris doesn't have to play all the time, do you get more out of him too? I think that's part of it. I think at this stage, because we saw it in spurts this past year where he still looks like that guy. I think it's just when he has to be out there every single down, he's at this point of his career where that's not the situation you want to be in. So if you get guys that are just serviceable, that you can give him a breath here and there, I think you're going to get more out of him. But they didn't have that this year. So that's really, yeah. I mean, when you look at, and we knew it, we kind of knew it going into the year, looking at that depth chart, hey, there's not a lot here. And then once Norman Lott went down, it just snowballed on them. But yeah, and maybe that's, maybe you don't necessarily need a superstar, but you need a couple guys. It's not just one guy. You need a couple guys in there that can really play significant snaps for you, outside of Chris Jones and Norman Lott.
Something reliable enough to like. And I think that's a good point. Is if you can find some more reliability along the interior on early downs, that gives you a chance to let kind of Chris maybe rotate in a little bit more. And maybe if a team wants to try to go no huddle when Chris Jones is off the field, you still have some capable bodies there. Adding a quality piece to that interior could go a long way and maybe helping, keep teams from doing that and giving yourself some capable bodies whenever they do try to do that. So no, I'll absolutely hear that as a big item to check off the wish list. For me, I'm switching to the offensive side of the ball. They have to find a trustworthy, reliable pass catcher. And even if Travis Kelce comes back, I still think that they need to place a premium on trying to find somebody that can be reliable for Patrick Mahomes, not just for 2026, but for beyond. I don't know, free agent or draft. I do think they just need to find something to raise the floor of this receiver room in a significant way. Rashee Rice coming off the suspension this season, very up and down year, a lot more drops, really didn't seem to make steps in 2026 coming into a contract year where I'm not sure the Chiefs are going to have the luxury of, not the luxury. I don't think the Chiefs are going to feel comfortable paying him. I just don't know how you can. And so your Rashee Rice is playing for money from somebody. Maybe it's the Chiefs, but I would venture to say it's not. Xavier Worthy coming off some injuries, you're hoping takes a step forward because this was kind of a burnt year for him, especially with some of the quarterback stuff in the last third of the season. So really didn't get a chance to develop all that much. All right, so who you got left? Maybe Travis Kelce comes back, but I think Travis Kelce's skill set has kind of limited him to the short and not the short to intermediate almost to this point. There's no reliability in the middle of the field. And so I think the Chiefs have a void that needs to get filled by somebody for long term. And if they can find some reliable pass catcher somewhere, be it free agency, via the trade, or via the draft, which there's some quality there at 9.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing that they need to get on their wish list accomplished this offseason.
That's a great, and I really like the way you put it as far as raising the floor of the receiver room, because I like the ceiling of this receiver room a lot, but you're right. It's just, can you depend on there's always something going on with him. And, not even speaking about on the field where there was a lot to clean up this year. There's just always stuff coming out. Is he even going to be available this year? If again, not want to speculate on legal issues, but that's always hanging over him. There's always something going on there. And Worthy, even at Worthy's highest end, he's not that guy. He's not catching 100 balls in a season. He's not that guy. So you want that. I think you put it perfectly. That reliable target that he can trust and go to, whether Kelsey's back or not. You want to start establishing, and because Kelce, whether Kelce plays this year or not, he's not. I would venture to guess he's probably not playing in 2027. You got to start establishing that, getting that, get that guy in the building that Patrick can trust over the middle of the field, and they haven't had that. Outside of Kelce, which again, we see which trajectory Travis is going. He still, contributes meaningfully, but it's just not in the same way. So no, I'm with you there. I think it's got to be a priority.
I can't wait to get you Mekhi Lemon pilled for the Chiefs. That might be next week. That might be who we make you watch next week. But in preparation for a couple mock drafts that released, we did have Hamilton watch tape on a couple prospects that were selected by the Kansas City Chiefs in a couple of big name mock drafts that have come out over the last month-ish or so. Dane Brugler, we'll start with this one a few weeks ago over The Athletic. He came out with his mock draft after everyone declared for the draft, after the dust had kind of cleared there. And he had the Kansas City Chiefs taking Ohio State safety Caleb Downs with the 9th pick. Hamilton, you grinded the tape on Downs. What'd you think of him?
I mean, he is a phenomenal player.
Pause, real quick. Just the way you said, I mean, like, please continue. It's just the way, it's like even the way you said that. Anyways.
Yeah, he is, he's special. The Chiefs haven't had a safety like this guy. I'll say that. Just that Swiss Army knife kind of safety, hyper intelligent. You can see it the way he diagnoses stuff. He can man guys up. He can play in the box. You can blitz him. He can really do everything at the position. And you think about, you start thinking about inserting that with Spags and how Spags can use him as a weapon. It's really fun to think about. And I think the mental part of it almost excites me more than the physical stuff, because you can see, like, that was kind of what was missing. I think, that part, you missed having Justin Reed on the back end, because I think he was that guy for the secondary. And I didn't see anybody out there who's like really taking charge, and that like mental mastery of the game aspect is what Downs is going to bring. But also, as I said, that Swiss Army knife aspect, if you get a guy like him, it's just, there's nothing he can't do, which is super, super exciting. And it changes the entire, having somebody like him kind of changes the entire complexion of the defense in the variety of ways that he can be used.
So I echo a lot of the same sentiments you did. I do think this team missed Justin Reed way more than we realized, and having someone that can be so diverse in the back end of your defense that lets you be a lot more multiple because of the things that they can do. Caleb Downs is a better safety than Justin Reed is, point blank already. And I think there's just so many things that he does in his game that that make an impact on a football team. You talk about, like if you're giving an elevator pitch on a player, you can still talk about the intangibles a little bit here too, right? And I think, from a leadership perspective, from a football IQ perspective, very evident the way people talk about him, and then what you see on the field, phenomenal instincts. But not just phenomenal instincts, but the ability to take the ball away and have ball production too. Because, he's capable of actually making plays on the ball when the ball's in the air. He goes and gets it, and he can do something with it. There's special teams value. You've seen him as a returner. This is a plus returner if you need him to do that as well. So don't let Dave Tibb watch too much of him. But I when you're painting the picture of him, and I'm sure Maddie's not here to defend his Caleb Downs takes, but yeah, I think there's a positional value argument to make. And if you point to Kyle Hamilton's impact on how good or not good the Ravens defense is, it hasn't mattered that they have the best safety in football. I get the argument.
It matters when he's not out there. The worst defense in the NFL, and they're not the worst when he's out there. They're not good, but
that's a good point.
But he saves them. Yeah, but no.
Go.
Sorry. Good.
No, you're good. Go.
I was gonna. Yeah, that's really the thing for top 10 is rich for a safety, and as we talked about earlier, I think this secondary, there were certain things that were exposed because they couldn't generate any consistent pressure. And whenever, you put that kind of stress on the back end, it makes secondaries look worse than they really are. Not saying that the secondary doesn't need some fixing and some things, some improvements, but I think the secondary was better than maybe some of the numbers look, because I think the lack of any consistent push up front, whenever you have to cover longer, it's not going to go as well, and whenever you're not getting any type of disruption up front, it doesn't go super well. So we've seen a lot of teams over the years that get away with not having necessarily the best secondary because they can get after it up front.
I think Steve Spagnuolo knows how to use a guy like Caleb Downs extremely well.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Like I think that both front and back need to work well together, and the Chiefs have issues on both. I think they have an issue in the secondary, and I think safety is the biggest issue they have. And then up front, they need to continue to improve their pass rush and find ways to do that too. But I'm not going to be disappointed if Caleb Downs is the pick. I think he's the second best player in this class. There's one player that I think is better than him in this class, and that's it. So if the Chiefs are sitting there and they've put themselves in a good position in April to take the second best player in the entire draft, I'm not going to be mad at it at all. I'm going to sign up for that one every time.
It would be very hard to be disappointed in that pick because you're getting an absolute baller. Like the guy, again, the IQ perspective, again, the physical stuff is so impressive, but I just kept coming back. It's so, like you said, it's just so evident when you watch the tape, just the IQ, the instincts. He's in the right spots. He's jumping everything. He knows exactly what the offense is trying to do. And to match that with the physical skill, like you just don't see safeties in college that have that combination of both like that often. He's a rare player.
Special football player. So I think the Chiefs might have a chance at the best player in this draft too, because I think he also plays another non-premium position as well. So I'd love to tell you about that one sometime, but not this week. Let's look at Daniel Jeremiah. Oh, sorry.
What if I make it one of my burning questions and make you? Is that
fine? We'll go for it. Love to hear it.
Yeah, but first, Daniel Jeremiah. Sorry.
But first, Daniel Jeremiah. He came out today with his first mock draft of the season. Big mile marker in the pre-draft process here because Daniel Jeremiah is as plugged in as anybody else, and he does mock, like he always says, he likes to do top 50s with his eyes, and he likes to do mock drafts with his ears. So he's paying attention to what teams are telling him, and that's always of interest and definitely something worth paying attention to. I'll burn through the top 8 picks. The Raiders take Fernando Mendoza first, no surprise there. The Jets taking Ohio State's edge linebacker Arvell Reese at 2. The Arizona Cardinals going offensive line, taking Spencer Fano of Utah. The Titans also taking offensive line with Francis Mauigoa, the offensive lineman from Miami. Giants taking Mansour Delane, the cornerback out of LSU, kind of a surprise there. Browns taking David Bailey, the edge from Texas Tech at 6. The Commanders, Sonny Styles, the linebacker from Ohio State. Pick 8, Jeremiah Love goes to the New Orleans Saints. I will just say blanket statement, very surprising top 8. Seeing 2 offensive linemen go, seeing a cornerback go, I think is like best case scenario for the Chiefs. Like this is a elite scenario for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially since at pick 9, Daniel Jeremiah has the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Ruben Bane Jr., the Miami defensive end. And Hamilton, we had you dive in on him a little bit today after getting to kind of seeing that happen in the mock draft. So off the top, Hammy, what'd you think when you watched Ruben Bane Jr.?
And I'll start with the good. So he plays super aggressively. He swarms the football. He's very, very quick first step, very quick off the edge. Doesn't have necessarily the length that you look for, but really, really strong legs, really strong base. Kind of in the mold of a Justin Houston type where, super strong, but maybe not the longest guy. But yeah, I mean, he is disruptive as hell off the edge. As I was digging in more and more, though, there was some, because again, usually a guy, and you show him up, if you watch he shows up frequently when you watch those Miami games. When you watch him play to play, so I was a little surprised. Like usually those guys don't make it out of the top 5, right? With edge rushers being such a premium position. And as I was watching, And again, I think a lot of this stuff is technique and it's fixable. But when you watch him against, he needs to get better against the run, point blank. I think when you look at him taking on blocks, sometimes he's just not using his hands super violently. When he has to hold up at the point of attack, I think he loses his gap integrity sometimes trying to make plays and they get gashed because he's out of position. Um, Taking on pullers does not seem to be his favorite thing. He's, as a puller or a trapper, it's I'd like to see him take that stuff on a little bit more violently. But ultimately, when you talk about the speed, the burst off the edge, his ability to just hunt down the quarterback, hunt down ball carriers, he is a playmaker. He is a disruptor. And that is something that Chiefs haven't had off the edge probably since Justin Houston in his prime to that degree. And as I said, I think a lot of this stuff is fixable. A lot of the stuff I didn't love, I think is fixable with coaching. I think it's an emphasis on technique. Some of it, I think it's a NFL level accountability from a guy like Spags. The rest of it, so I think the ceiling is incredibly, incredibly high. Again, maybe the length limits some of it more than other guys, but you're getting a hell of a football player if you get him at 9. And I think you put him with Spags, he's going to clean up the other stuff, and he'll eventually turn into a really good every down player.
So I think there are legitimate arguments to be made about the profile of Ruben Bane Jr. Like, I do believe, I do get the concerns about length, because I do think the length does show up from time to time and not having it.
Yeah.
But watching the violence that he plays with, and watching, maybe there are some things technically that need to get cleaned up a little bit to be more consistent against the run and find ways to minimize the impact that his lack of length has on his game at times. But he's the edge rusher I want if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs. And I was talking to I did amateur earlier tonight. Don't want to spoil it because I don't know if it's out quite yet. But I think if the Chiefs were picking second, Ruben Bane is my pick. I think Downs is great. I think unnamed person that might wind up in the burning questions is great. But from a positional, I think the tape is good enough. I think he's probably the third or fourth best prospect in this class for me. And he's at a premium position. I do think that there is a little bit of upside for him. I think what's funny, Hamilton, is you're talking about some of the inside outside of needs. They need some help on the interior of the defense, and they need help on the edge. Bane might be a little bit of both. And there's a lot of hype from a lot of people about Bane and his outlook as a top 10 selection. And Daniel Jeremiah has him going, here at pick 9. Dane Brugler even comments before he decided to completely dominate the college football playoff. Some teams saw him potentially as an interior defensive lineman only. And we'll see if that holds up, if that kind of commentary continues. But the inside-outside flex, the violence that he plays with, the density, the physicality, and actual legitimate ability up the arc and ability to turn a corner and flexibility through the frame at his size, there's a lot to work with there. And I'm having a hard time. Not falling in love with what Ruben Bane Jr. could do in Kansas City.
Yeah, and that flexibility around the edge is why I have a hard time picturing him as an interior guy only.
For sure.
Because you don't want to take that. That's such a weapon that you don't want to take away. And that's what the Chiefs haven't had, is somebody who can really turn a corner like that. Like Karlaftis, a lot of his stuff, I'm not trying to bash Karlaftis, regardless of what you think about his play this year. Like, his stuff is effort, motor, it's not just blowing past an offensive tackle play after play. He's not blown by anybody, really. And that's what Bane can give you. And yeah, it is I don't want to go to this but he is just he's one of these guys that has it as far as just like that football mentality and mindset. Like he's on the hunt. Every time that ball is snapped, he's doing everything he can to make a play on the ball. And that's, again, at times, as I say, like, can work to his detriment a little bit because he gets a little out of position, out of his lane. But again, that's all super coachable. And I do want to see him apply some of that aggressiveness to taking on blockers as well. It's all about the ball with him, which is great. But these are other aspects of the game where he can really grow. And again, this is why, you have an NFL coaching staff. This is why, you're drafting based on ceiling with a guy like this. And the ceiling is so incredibly high. And again, and so is the floor, because even if he's a guy, he's not ready to play every down right away, or you don't feel great about it, you're rotating him in, he's instantly causing complete mayhem every time you cut him loose after the quarterback.
All right, Hammy, so I'm gonna put you on the spot here. So in Dane Bruler's mock draft, I think he had Bane going like 10th, 11th, something like that, which means that both Downs and Bane were available to the Kansas City Chiefs in that scenario, and you've just watched both of these two prospects. So I will put the pressure on you. The Kansas City Chiefs are on the clock at pick 9. Ruben Bane Jr., the edge out of Miami, and Caleb Downs, the Ohio State safety, are on the board. Who are you picking, Hammy?
I think I got to go Ruben Bane.
Woo!
I think, yeah, as much as I love Downs.
I was like so sure you were going Downs here. I was so sure you were going Downs here. But no, talk to me. Let's go.
Yeah, I think when you look at, and again, you don't want to just look at positional value, because if you have a great, but I think the upside with Bane is really there, like we talked about. And I think that positional value, it matters. I think it's an area that, as we talked about this entire show, the Chiefs really need to upgrade with his flexibility, with the different ways he can be used as well. I think Spags getting his hands on him is a big deal. And I just think he changes the outlook of this defense in a lot of ways. Not that Downs wouldn't, as we talked about. But I think he really, having a pass rusher with that type of a presence just changes everything. And again, I think it's going to make the secondary better. I think it's going to make everybody around him better. You get somebody in that can really get after the quarterback like this, and, shoot gaps and make big plays in the run game as well. Big TFLs in the run game. Like, this is a game breaking type of player. And I think the upside is there when Spags gets his hands on him, that, we're talking about an all pro caliber type of pass rusher with the right coaching and putting in the work to strengthen those other areas of the game.
Seamus is asking all kinds of draft questions, and I promise you we will be getting to a lot of these. We're taking our time here. It is January 26th. We've got 3 months until the NFL draft. We are trying to pace ourselves just a little bit here, but we have all kinds of great content and a great discourse going to be happening about a lot of these prospects. I will say there's one thing I'm a little worried about, and it's, we're all going to get here. I think this will be the most overanalyzed draft for, I think, Chiefs fans. Because I think everyone's going to fall in love with all these players, and then free agency is going to hit. Things are going to completely change. And then you're going to start poking holes in some of these players, and then you're going to start questioning your existence and all this stuff. It's going to be fun. I think we're all trying to pace ourselves just a little bit. All right, before we get out of here, Hammy has generated some burning questions, as he always does, and the floor is his.
All right, I guess I won't. You seem to really want to sit on this reveal, so I guess I won't force it out of you.
No, you can do it.
Who your number?
Go for it.
You mentioned Daniel Jeremiah. Does that name Jeremiah factor into this?
Why do you ask? I think there's just a Y added to that name. I think Jeremiah Love's the best football player in this class.
Okay.
I think he is the best player in this class. I'll just tell you this. We were so we had so much fun. Short amount of time, but we were having a great time out at the Shrine Bowl in Dallas. And we watched, maybe did I say this at the top of the show? I can't even remember. We watched like a bunch of the top 15-ish guys with BJ because BJ's catching up and he's kind of just doing a crash course, and we just watched through a bunch of these guys at the same time. So helping formulate some opinions and stacking the board a little bit and all that kind of stuff. If you go through that exercise, take all your favorite players. If you're watching right now, if you can go find some tape, even just like you could probably do it with the YouTube cuts. Just go burn through all of your favorite targets at pick 9. The best tapes, Jeremiah Love. The best tape is Jeremiah Love. He's just a special football player, and I think there's a few special football players in here. Don't get me wrong, but watching him and everything he can do, I think he can do everything. Watching how explosive, light on his feet he is through holes. Sometimes he might get tripped up here for, at the line of scrimmage, and he's still finding 6 yards, falling forward and being an athlete and being able to fall forward for 6 yards. And like, you're lucky to get the body length of Kareem Hunt on any carry when he's got the ball. And so I just look at him and watch all the explosion, the vision, the size, the athleticism, the long speed, the ability to finish plays in the end zone, the incredible hands as a pass catcher. He's got this one-handed catch down the sidelines that he also finished in the end zone, diving forward. Suddenness. I said, like, hey, look, he's not a Bijan level player. He's close. He might be in that same tier. So imagine getting Bijan Robinson dropped into this offense, how you would feel. You'd feel pretty good. Jeremiah Love's the best. I think Jeremiah Love's the best football player in this class. And so I'd take him. I'd be thrilled if the Chiefs were able to get him at 9. I think
so. If he's there, you're taking him over anybody else. That's realistically on the board.
Almost. I think, yes, he's the best player. I think there's an argument to be made because of positional value that you take Bane over him.
Yeah.
That might be it, though. The list might be Bane, Love for me. The list might be Bane, Love, as I said today. And I think it's going to change over time, too. Like, I think you're gonna see this draft is so fun because I think the top 10 could go a lot of different ways, and I think there's varying levels of excitement for whoever the Chiefs pick at 9. I think there are so many different players that you can look at pick 9 and be happy about, and that's kind of how I feel. Like, I think there's a long list of players that I'm going to be happy. It's just varying levels of excitement. Am I thrilled? Am I doing backflips? Am I jumping into the creek at Holiday Distillery, or am I just happy? Like, that was a good pick, but I don't think I'm gonna walk away disappointed by who the Chiefs pick at 9, because I think there's a lot of scenarios where there's gonna be 2 or 3 players that I'm quite thrilled with them taking, and as long as they take one of those, I think I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, and the more, I've started, I'm obviously nowhere near as far along as you are with this, but as I've started digging into stuff, it does, this is a good draft to be sitting at the 9th pick and getting in the top 10 with what the Chiefs' needs are and some of the players that are out there available as I've started digging into this thing. So it is very exciting. And yeah, because Jeremiah Love, like, he does obviously not only represent a major upgrade at running back, but as you said, with the pass catching ability, with what he can do and give Mahomes, like, it's a game changer for Patrick too. I mean, really thinking about it, like the fact that, and we talked about this a little bit last week on Up and Adams too, when the Bieniemy hiring became official. Just think about what they've done with just a non-existent run game, essentially. Not only dead last, I think bottom 3 in over rushing yards per game, dead last in explosive plays. Like, you're getting not only you're getting a 0 out of that running game. And just having a better run game again, and we can not that we're going to dive into here. Well, I know Matty has a lot of thoughts on this too, but you run the ball, it's going to help the passing game tremendously when you're not just completely one-dimensional and have zero threat of the run, especially the way the NFL is continuing to evolve here going forward too. Like, we're seeing more of an importance on the run game now, and it's something that the Chiefs have done worse than anybody else. So whatever else you want to say about Andy Reid's scheme and the passing and all this stuff that he can be doing better, you start running the ball effectively,
I think
explosively.
I
changes everything. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Sorry, I didn't know you were pregnant pausing there. My bad. There's some dramatic effect there, and that's on me. I just wanted to add that, like, I do think that, I mean, I don't want to guarantee anything, but I'm pretty sure I can guarantee that the Chiefs' running game is going to be better than this last season, because the bar to clear is so remarkably low, and and simply adding a mid-level free agent to this room makes this group better. So if the free agent addition to start out is simply Tyler Algier and some kind of rookie, doesn't even have to be Jeremiah Love, and Brashard Smith, that running game is going to be better than it's been. Significantly. So all that to say, they're gonna be a better running team than they were last year. And I do think Eric Bieniemy's addition and hopefully Eric Bieniemy, hung around Ben Johnson enough to bring some of that influence over. We might. How many more burning questions do you have? Do you have any more? Or do we want to just save them?
I do have one more for you. That is
okay.
That is a little timely, and then we.
Okay.
When this Shrine Bowl experience, I know a lot of content's going to be coming out over the next couple of days. All that. Is there anybody that you encountered there that you talked to that you saw and were just like, "That's a Kansas City Chief"? Did you have one of those moments? Because I know this happens with you sometimes.
All the time. Every year. Yeah. Darrell Jackson Jr., the defensive tackle from Florida State, is you talk about improving the interior of the defensive line. Dropping him into this defense and letting him play the nose tackle position would significantly improve this run defense and significantly improve that interior immediately. That might be your rotational piece. He is a sturdy, stout interior player. He's got long arms. He's dense, tall for the position. But he had such control of the line of scrimmage the entirety of the weekend. When any drill they were running, one-on-ones, team reps, like he dominated. And he's such a force he's such a force in the run game. I think there's probably a little bit of juice in the pass game, but just simply being a guy that can reset the line of scrimmage, hold the point of the attack in the run game, and then get his hands up and deflect a couple passes here or there. Just being that would go a long way. And so, yeah, I think that's one you're just like, yes, yeah, sign me up. You might have to take him at 40. There's a chance you might have to take him at 40 because I don't think he's going to be there at 74. So you're probably either trading up to get him or you're just taking him at 40. Or maybe trading back a little bit from 40 if you wanted to do that too. But I think that's kind of his range. Somewhere between 40 and 74 is probably where he goes. So, yeah, fun one. Very fun one. I think go watch him. He's massive, massive human. We got a chance to talk to him. You're going to hear that interview at some point here on KC Sports Network.
There we go. Future Chief. Heard it here first.
I would hope so, because then we'd have the first interview with Darrell Jackson, which would be pretty cool. I think this is our 5th year. We're 3 for 4. We've had an interview with prospects all but 1 year since going out to the Shrine Bowl. Yeah, we had Pacheco. We've had Keandre Coburn, BJ Thompson. Oh, who else have we had? We've had other ones. I think 1 or 2 more. We had Carson Steele, but he wasn't a draft pick. But we've had plenty. We've had several here before they wound up being Chiefs, and so we're hoping to get that streak back alive. You can check everything going on at KC Sports Network, whether it's draft season, whether it's free agency, everything at KCSN. We are the place to be, and that is going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Maddie Lane is going to freak out when he finds out that you and me went an hour and 10 minutes. But you know what? We're having a good time, and I had FOMO from last week, so that's why we're doing it. That's Matt Hamilton. I'm Kent Swanson. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.